sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out?
All right, so welcome everybody. Hello,
This
this
is it's different and it's bigger than you think.
Appreciate everybody.
Rise from the ashes and fly like
Calls
the
Monday
phoenix
through
and
Friday,
stay
noon Eastern time. Today, I want to talk a little bit about branding. Now, to be real clear here, as you guys are beginning, inside of the dashboard in section 5, he talks about branding and logo. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Henry Kaminsky was on Monday. We talked about branding and we talked about colors. We talked about your message. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into certain elements there. I want to be real clear about a couple of things, though. As we talk about this, I'm going to go a little deeper into branding than you have to in order to start. Okay? I'm giving you extra stuff to think about, extra stuff to do. And if you're already kind of going, I don't know, I need to get through and I need to get going and I need to, then do that. And just listen today and maybe take something from it. Think a little bit about it. Maybe it gets you something that you start to build on into the future. And if that's the case, that's fine, right? And if you're at that point where you're already starting to do stuff and you can, the more that you do consistently and the more that you try consistently, the more you can see yourself actually achieving something and bringing this to fruition, right? And the more that you see other people pushing themselves ahead, hopefully what you see is, an opportunity to celebrate another success and say, if they're able to do it, then I can do it. I'm simply going to continue down my path. Don't ever be, jealous of someone else's success. The more you celebrate other success, the more it's going to give birth to your own. But with that said, the more that you see those things, the more you can imagine, hey, as I build myself, here's what I may achieve. And so branding and messaging becomes important in that regard. More long-term for some of you guys as you're looking to build. So this isn't something if you are in the middle of starting your customization, if you are one of those people that, like me for years, struggled with launching, don't do a super deep dive into branding because you'll get caught in the weeds. Is that clear to everybody? Right? And I say this from a tremendous amount of experience of getting caught in the weeds and stumbling along and not launching stuff. You need to make sure that you get yourself out there. Okay, that's incredibly important. I've got a couple of landing pages and some other things right now that I've got people working on so that it gets done. And I give a little bit of feedback and then, hey guys, finish this up, right? Let's get it moving so we can get out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about branding though. Let me pull up what we have here. So as you get ready and you're running your business, here's something to do as you start thinking about branding. One of the things is as you're thinking about your content, as you're thinking about what to do, in everything that you're putting out, I want to talk a little bit about branding and a little bit about direct response marketing and how the two go hand in hand. Has anyone heard, before I dive deeper in there, has anyone heard the term direct response marketing? A couple of you? Okay. Does someone throw out any kind of basic definition at all? Let's see what the Google says. What is direct response marketing? And I'll show you guys what pulls up here. Direct response marketing is a type of marketing designed to elicit
immediate
and instant response by encouraging prospects to take a specific action. It's a type of marketing strategy where the goal is to encourage an immediate response from consumers in order to quickly generate new leads or new sales. So it's any type of response. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a purchase, right? It is giving an email address. It's clicking over to a website. It's something. It's guiding people through. And so this is why a funnel works out so well with direct response, but it's asking people to take some kind of action directly. I'm speaking to you as opposed to, the world in my marketing. And this is why when you get into branding and how your message is and your audience, one reason it's so important to understand your audience is because when you market at this level, and this is a difference between like marketing and advertising, like big brands do. I'm talking to an individual. So as I'm doing this, occasionally, if you guys notice, occasionally as I am speaking and I'm doing training, sometimes I speak broadly to everyone here as a general audience. And sometimes I'm speaking directly to you that you need to understand what you need to do. And sometimes I use we. Now, the way I use it, and one of the ways that this platform works for me, is because if I see a handful of people that need certain help, I can talk about we and us and everyone here as a generality, and hopefully do it in a way that no one takes particular individual offense. But then when it's time to turn the screws a little bit, you can modify that. Now in your marketing, it's kind of the same thing, where if you identify who your audience is really well, then I can speak to John, Sally, Martha, James, whatever, because I've identified them as an individual and their likes and their dislikes and who they are and everything else. How are we following along? I've got a couple people that are kind of nodding, and then I got a couple people that their eyebrows look like they're trying to dive deeper into their face as much as possible. Are we on the same page? Do we understand kind of how direct response marketing is? The more you guys try and do direct response, this is where I can, even with a smaller audience, I can generate a greater interaction because I'm speaking to one person, right? So I am taking people and I'm having a plan to sell. So that's something else I should talk about, understanding, guys, that selling is okay because you have a product that's beneficial. Some people are still hung up in this idea like, oh, but I don't want to sell. Why? You have a product that can help businesses. So you shouldn't have any qualms about offering that to someone, right? It's just like if you have a healthy meal, you shouldn't have any problem saying, hey, you should have this. This would be good for you, right? So don't make delaying a desirable option. There should be some kind of incentive to act now is what that means. And you want clear instructions on what you need them to do now. And then you're able to track and measure it. One of the biggest obstacles that I see with people as they do their marketing, this is when you get into your headlines and when you get into the content that you're posting, taking action now and being clear about what you want people to do. So if you're wanting them to comment, add a name, engage somehow with your post, and then occasionally, like we talked about that 70, 20, 10, 70% you, 20% other people's content, 10% promotion. When the time comes, if they're to click a link, you should tell them to click the link. Check out my bio, the link's right there. Click the link below. Ask me this, message me at, write in me if you're interested in boom, right? Everybody seen that? Hey, I just put together this awesome training about this. Type me if you're interested. How many of you have written in me or interested into someone's post like that? That's direct response. And that's what you're trying to elicit from your audience. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. One of the biggest obstacles that I see people have in their content and then on their websites is an unclear, there's great things to be done with information. And I am absolutely guilty of this. Sometimes I, post in there, but I don't say, hey, this is what I want you to do. It's just kind of, marketing copy written without that, some kind of call to action, something, because it's almost the Pavlov effect, right? We're trying to create a habit of people engaging with your content so they can take that next step, right? And that's what we're trying to do, especially because long-term, guys, you want to have, these people not just buying the blueprint, but hanging around, because at some point, 6 months, a year from now, maybe you've got some other product that's going to be beneficial to them. Maybe you start doing coaching. Maybe you found some other thing. Maybe it's time to offer, hey, by the way, I've got this email platform that's brand new that could work, right? Not to have 50 different products and go crazy with it, but that's a way of, starting to build that. Okay, branding. Here's one person's take, and I think this comes from Dan Kennedy, if I'm not mistaken, and it's kind of, I think it goes hand in hand. Branding should be a byproduct of effective direct response marketing, not the other way around. In this regard, I think it's almost advertising or like overall message. I think the two go hand in hand. Okay. I'm going to give you these slides, but I want to say like branding and direct response marketing go hand in hand because you can't do one well without the other. That's my opinion. Right. So maybe not should be a byproduct, should be a partner is what I'm going to say of effective marketing, not a standalone pillar. You learn and you grow, right? So post, promotions, ads, photos, right? So it should be 85-15. So kind of that content and sales, meaning, and part of this too, guys, is your posts shouldn't just be a post that's like, here's my product. On branding, I want to make sure my brand is out there. Here's my product. Socialmediabreakthrough.com. Here you go. You know, great ebook, awesome blueprint, great templates. Build your business. I'm here to build your business. I'm here to build your, like that just becomes obnoxious. So 85-15 is what we're talking about there. Okay, next. There's some different ideas, difference between slogans versus actual branding. You know, here's some slogans. It's not necessarily their branding, but it's part of the overall message. So branding isn't about just a slogan. What you see a lot of times, how many of you guys have heard of the unique selling position? A lot of you guys in sales or marketing have heard that. I call it kind of the market dominating position. I got this from someone else in business coaching, some of the training and things that I did, they approached it from that idea. So understanding people want, this goes to your message, and we're going to dive into some elements of the branding here and elements of branding here. All right. Now, on my page, on my Facebook, on my landing page, I'm addressing in my headline and my subheadline what people have but they don't want, and what they want but they don't have. What they have but they don't want, what they want but they don't have. Every business owner has something they don't want. Okay, so use your gray matter here a little bit, guys. Help me understand what are some problems, what are some things that business owners have right now that they don't want? What are some things that business owners have right now but they don't want? Beck just came off of mute. You got an answer for me?
Yeah, higher overheads for
high
generation.
Overhead. What are some things that attribute or contribute to high overhead?
Having to spend more money than what we could provide per customer acquisition.
Yeah, their customer acquisition has gone up.
Yep.
Yeah.
In my specific space, there's also things like commission fees and sellers fees and all of the other bits that sort of tend to get tacked on that may not be necessary if they looked at a different model.
If they figured out how to do something a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
If they found a way to. Yep. Yeah. So we'll get to the solution. That's the second part of that phrase.
Yep.
All right, guys. What else do business owners have but they don't want? Thank you, Beck. Perfect. And debt, right? Business debt. They have debt. They don't want it. What else do they have? Think about businesses in your niche, businesses in general. What are some problems that businesses have?
Competition.
They have competition. They may not want the competition. Competition is there. So we'll talk about the solution there. So especially you guys that are answering, think about what the other side of that is. But good. What else do we have?
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. So they have a lack of knowledge, right? Good. They have problem customers. They don't have the right customers. Good. Those two go hand in hand. Bad employees. Lack of customers. Good. Okay. Can we understand what's going on? We're identifying the problems that they don't have. So if my headline addresses that problem in my ad or in my content, I'm calling attention to them. You tired of a lack of customers? Tired of dealing with the wrong customers? Right? Because a lot of times the problem that they have causes some kind of emotion.
Lack of time.
So they have a lack of time. So they're too busy, right? Tired of juggling too many tasks, right? Something along those lines. So my headline addresses that. And my headline can be in my post. It can also be, you guys can change up once in a while your imagery, right? Or put a post that has to deal with that, or an image, a meme or something. Lack of information. Yeah, they don't know what they're missing stuff. They're missing info. Now, what do they want but don't have? Flip that. So we have our headline is what they have but they don't want. Okay. So something they have but they don't want, and then something they want but they don't have. So what are some things that they want but they don't have?
Money.
Okay, hold on. So money, Beck, go ahead.
Get more customers.
Get more customers. Good. What
Money.
else? Money. Yeah. Cash flow. What else? Linda, I see you talking, but you're on mute. If you want a steady, reliable stream of customers. Yep. Consistent customers. More customers. Profit. So many of these problems, guys, can be solved if they get more customers. Now, not the bad employees, but you guys are marketing to them to teach them how to market. Could you also find some article or some knowledge or some tip to help them with their bad employees?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Google's
just
fantastic.
take you 5 minutes of research typically, right? You got to remember, I'm not here to simply give my customer, like, all I'm going to do is help you with your marketing, buy my shit. What I want to do is help you with your business, right? Help you find solutions. Your role as an entrepreneur is to provide solutions. Currently, the products that you have to provide the best solutions involve helping them get more customers, helping solve the lack of knowledge, because most of them don't understand how to use social media, right? Give them templates so they don't have to do it all themselves. Walk them through the process so they're not trying to search Google and figure out everything on their own, right? The problem of profit and overhead. Well, if I can help you generate leads for free, generate leads with their social media, I'm helping solve that too, right? So that's part of my direct response message. So should some of these elements of what they have but they don't want, what they want but they don't have, can we see how this will fit into my brand? And this is what I mean about my brand. Okay, so some key elements is the personality. So this is the force, the character behind what you're putting out. The brand identity and the promise or purpose. So this phrase, guys, here, this is what I call the market dominating position. Something they have, but they don't want, something they want, but they don't have. You could almost do headline, sub-headline. Does that fit into any one of these three? I'm getting heads.
Promise or your purpose.
Promise or purpose. Your purpose is to help facilitate for them a way that they can get more customers and get those customers with less ad spend. And then I can lower their overhead in that way. And I can help them have more cash flow and more profit, right? I'm here to help you with your business and help make it a more profitable and enjoyable and fun business, because you learn how to maximize the potential that you have here with social media. Could this promise and purpose and identifying what this is, like what you deliver here, could this also be part of my brand identity? Right? It's also consistency, frequency, and visibility. Consistency, frequency, and visibility. So consistency, what I'm talking about here is a consistent message. So I'm consistently delivering, and we've talked about, like Michael Faber had talked about having 4 or 5 different pillars with your brand or your business, something that you talk about consistently. So anytime I'm going to write something, people start to understand where my message is coming from. And it's easy because it's, following this promise and purpose, and it follows this in a way. Because even if I'm talking about entrepreneurship, then I'm talking about the headache that they have running their business, and I'm trying to provide them solutions. If I'm talking about generating, wealth and success, then I'm talking about the frustration that they have with their finances and how to generate cash flow and take care of the cash once they earn it. If I'm talking about, leaving a legacy, if I'm talking about personal development, well, then personal development, I'm talking about, breaking through the walls that they have, because they have certain walls. And then how can I, live up to my potential, right? All of them can fit into this basic, something they have, but they don't want, something they want, but they don't have. This can be an ingredient for any post that you put out there, guys. And it falls with any one of these 6 elements to, is right there too, huh? Any one of these can fit into what I'm delivering here. So I'm being consistent with my message. I'm posting frequently. Right now, guys, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. Obviously, we're focused on Facebook. And you should, because that's where people are. There are opportunities on other platforms, and some of you guys should look at it. Once you are consistent and frequent with one, start with Facebook. Don't get bogged down with other stuff before you're consistent and frequent there. And if you're hearing me talk about being frequent on Facebook and you're going, oh my God, I don't want to do all the other stuff, then don't do the other stuff. Don't worry about it for now. Get good at one, right? That said, we've had this window of opportunity for probably the next 2 to 5 years before we're all meeting in the metaverse with, goggles over our heads, right? Who knows? Some people will be there. Others will take longer. But it'll come about at some point, right? I mean, my heart goes out to everybody that's dealing with the conflict right now that's going on with Russia and Ukraine. But if we take a 30,000 foot view and just look at it from has everyone heard, in connection with what's going on there, things about economic sanctions, banks, and crypto and everything else, right? You almost can't get through any kind of broadcast or news or something where they don't go, this is also happening. And what's happening is, the regular governments are trying to ask these exchanges to not give money to one or the other, right? Russians are trying to get money into crypto and into crypto wallets, which aren't necessarily accessible to everybody. So that is my mic back on the right way? Sorry. So that it's not accessible to the regular banks. Ukrainians are taking money that way. Because they don't have access to anything. They can't go to the regular bank, right? The ATMs are done. Banks don't have paper money anymore. The ruble has lost 30-something%. Can you imagine? And some of you guys may have dealt with this in one way or another. You imagine waking up one day to the next, not even, it was within several hours, and all of the money you had, all of a sudden it's worth 30% less. That's what's happening. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, little drop right when Russia invaded, and now it's gone up percentage-wise. I mean, the other day it went up 16% in one day. 16% in a day. Now, obviously, there's volatility, and I'm not telling you, and I'm not giving you legal and financial advice, insert disclaimer, et cetera, et cetera. Just talking about the reality of the world that we're in, right? Marketing is the same thing. So there's going to be all of these other platforms and all of these other opportunities as you go further. But your brand and your message and how you talk to an audience never changes. So yeah, Ready Player One. Yeah, maybe we're sitting in a meeting virtually. Maybe at some point you guys are kicked back with the goggles on and I'm presenting live and, cameras are, putting me into a hologram in your room like Star Trek and R2-D2, right? Maybe that's what's going on. But I'm still going to have to deliver a message. You guys are still going to have to connect with your audience, right? So being true to that brand becomes important. That's why looking at and understanding all of this stuff. So branding is your personality, the identity, like what does it stand for, having the promise or purpose, and then consistency, frequency, and visibility. Like you have to post. You can't do once a week. You can't do twice a week. You've got to be out there and you got to be visible. Increase your visibility. Henry was talking about it. Getting someone else to post about you, joining someone else's page, being in someone else's group, getting on a podcast, talk to somebody else, get on video, be willing to do it. If you're scared out of your mind, be scared out of your mind, but do it anyway. Okay. Now, how do I start to build? We're going to get a little deeper into this over the tomorrow, but understanding your audience is where we're going to get into and why this is important. If you guys remember, when we were on with Henry the other day, that's kind of one of the things that he talks about. 80% of your brand really deals with how your audience interacts with you and how you're servicing them and not just how you feel. Okay. So put aside all of, this is where we insert every joke about artists, millennials, and some of us, Gen Z and whatever, how it's all about me and how I feel. No, not really. It's about how your audience feels. Okay. Well, this is the message that I want to get out. Great. Is anybody going to listen to it? Because that's the only thing that matters, right? Am I connecting with my audience? And then how do I connect with my audience? So tomorrow we're going to dive into understanding that. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am going to give you these slides. I'm going to go ahead and give them to you now inside the Skype group. Krista, can you post the Skype link in there if you guys aren't already in there? I'm going to post that. I am going to be posting some affirmations a little bit later as well. I've got them written up. But I'm giving you the slides. It's already going to have some of the questions that we're going to talk about tomorrow when we talk about your target audience and how that helps with your brand and your messaging. So I'm already going to give you some of it. Tomorrow I'm going to be adding more to it. So just review them. If you want to start answering, that's great. And if you're hearing this and you're going, oh my gosh, I've got to do all of this, I can't launch until I've got all of it ready, then I need you to stop and not worry about it at all. Like if those are the thoughts that are getting into your head, then don't worry about it. Just listen and learn a little bit and go, this is going to be great a little bit later on. And then just decide on, personal or company or, combination of both, what your logo is and start putting it together. Now, the elements about your audience can be helpful, but it makes more difference once you start posting. So on that note, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to give you some stuff to study. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning.
Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it.
Take care of yourself.
Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think.
Bye.
Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are.